right. So round 2 of our video podcast today, where we're going to be discussing the total business impact of what's going on in today's market. We have a guest speaker joining us today, and we have Mr. Kent Boehm from 9 Business Group. So Kent, I don't know if you want to just quickly introduce yourself, and I think people know us for the most part, but yeah, let's start there.
Sure, thank you. Happy to join you guys today. Let's make sure that is off. There's some background noise. Bear with me.
Putting the phone on vibrate.
Yeah, no, just making sure. I just had some background noise, so I thought maybe I'd double check everything off. So thank you for the invite. Looking forward to the conversation, all things business, Western Canada. I'm Kent Boehm, been a business coach for 12 years now. I've been working in Alberta and Western Canada with business owners and leadership teams for 18, 19 years now. So yeah, everything from manufacturing to retail sales and everything in startups to succession planning. And definitely looking forward to having a conversation around economic recovery and working and getting some thoughts from you guys on some tools and resources available to business owners, and more importantly, kind of what you're hearing in the marketplace and what we can do to help the businesses survive and rebuild.
You bet. That's what we're here for to do. So just as a recap, my name is Samantha Knighton DeForge. I am the Business Solutions Specialist at Aqurus Solutions.
I'm Steve Swenson. I am a Senior Solution Consultant with Aqurus Solutions.
And I'm Murray Quibell. I'm the President of Aqurus Solutions. So of course, like many of you out there, we are a small business located in Western Canada as well. So we share a lot of the same kind of challenges and opportunities in terms of let's getting this economy restarted.
You bet. All right, guys, so why don't we just go right into it? We got 29 minutes left. I guess the first thing we want to talk about today, Kent, is you work with a lot of small and mid-sized businesses all over Calgary. You do have clients, that have very diversified networks, in the US and things like that as well. So let's start with, the most common question anyone has today. What are you seeing in the market with your customer base?
It's extreme. It's really all over the map. We have clients that are taking on the chin who are days, if not days, weeks or months away from closing up their business. So that's the sad news. They are doing their best to rebuild, repurpose, find other products and services to bring to the market. And the flip side, we have clients that are growing and flourishing. So I think that's probably as an advisor, as a person in their world, help them navigate this. That's probably the hardest bit is we are facing all extremes. We have clients and businesses that are flat. We definitely have businesses in Western Canada and Canada that are, if they're not finished, they will be soon. And the flip side is we have businesses that are flourishing. So,
do you feel like it's a lot worse in Alberta, or is there any province, or do you think Western Canada is struggling more, or where do you see businesses being more sustainable, but not so much, in other parts of the country?
I don't think that what Alberta is going through is unique. I don't think it's any worse here than anywhere else. Just before the conversation started here, Steve was sharing some of the surveys they've got back from the business owners in British Columbia and what they're experiencing. I can't imagine that there is a province not being impacted by this on any level, whether it's retail sales, restaurants. I was out for lunch today with my wife, and we were at a local restaurant, place we go to all the time, and it's 75% empty. So whether it be a restaurant, retail sales, an article a month ago listed off something like 200 and some odd retail chains that are closing their local stores in Calgary. So, and with a 15% unemployment rate here in Alberta, that's a pretty staggering number. And so to summarize, I do not think that Alberta is any better or worse off than any other province. If the provinces are doing better, maybe Saskatchewan, Manitoba, it has more to do with the fact that they necessarily haven't had the cases of COVID, but I'd be shocked to see that people staying at home hasn't impacted their ability to spend money and do business with other people.
Yeah, no, you bet. And I mean, I think a lot of businesses, whether you're a hair salon, whether you're, some sort of a manufacturer, obviously the government of Canada, and we want to dive right into these grants. And for the people who are curious about this aspect, this is something we work with with some of our customers that have, leverage, whether it's technology grants or training grants or anything like that. But I guess the biggest thing that all the businesses around the world are really talking about, well, in Canada, are talking about the Canada Emergency Business Account. So the emergency account, the loan, the $40,000 loan that was provided to businesses, have your customers, have your clients taken and apply for that loan? Have they used it? How have they used it? Has it helped them? And where were those funds really allocated?
That's a great question. All of our clients have applied for and received funding. If I've had a client who hasn't, I'm not aware of it. Now, part of that is I want to remind your viewers that if you are a business owner and you haven't received the benefits of that $40,000 loan, don't stop trying. Some of our smaller clients who are maybe dealing with some of the in-between banks and not the national banks, it takes a little bit more patience, persistence for them to kind of get through their application process to support that program. As far as how they're using it, the nice part is every business is using it as within the confines of the rules, and each bank is kind of administering the funds a bit different, what you can spend it on, or that sort of thing. But the nice part is they're all within the rules, using and leveraging the funds to help their business, whether it be marketing dollars to up their marketing, whether it be to cover some of their staffing costs. Some business owners are using it to cover PPE to help their staff recover. So it really is, the nice part is it's a lump sum. And if you don't use it, you repay $30,000 and the government gives you the benefit of $10,000 free. So it is helpful in that way. And it is readily available to everybody. I mean, when I did my application, 2 or 3 months ago, the funds were in my bank account within 4.5 business days.
That's a quick turnaround, right? And I mean, we see a lot of people now mistakenly getting CERB payments and things like that as well, right? I mean, Murray, have any of our customers, taken advantage and used the Canada Emergency Business Account?
I think that there's a high awareness of that. So the companies, like I would say, like Kent, if you can qualify for that, people are applying for it. In some cases, companies do not qualify, but I like what Kent has said. If you don't qualify at first, keep trying. They have changed the rules of that. And so there are even some new programs. I think a lot of a lot of companies, hey, $40,000 is a bit of a drop in the bucket. So, but hey, let's, don't turn it down. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say most companies have done it, but it's only one piece of what it's going to take to be sustainable.
Just to add that, I did have 2 or 3 of my smaller clients that when they first rolled out the program, they didn't fit inside the box, if you will. And probably 60 days later, they adjusted the program. And in all 3 of those cases, the funds were available for those clients just because they adjusted kind of the requirements. And yes, to Murray's point, absolutely. I mean, if you're running a $20-25 million a year business, $40,000 isn't a lot. But there are other programs that are available, such as you already talked about the wage subsidy program. Those funds are available. You have the $100,000 BDC loan. That program's available. I think I was working with my accountant last week, and they've identified at least 40 new programs that are available in Canada or parts of Canada available to business owners. So there's no reason in my mind that a business should be suffering more than they have to, at least on the cash front, with all the programs that are available. And it's really up to them to reach out to somebody, an advisor, whether it's a Murray, a software provider who's in the know in the business world, a business coach, your accountant. Really put your hand up and ask for help and say, how do I? Nothing pains me more than to watch business owners suffer and suffocate, because you can't run a business without cash. More different than a person can't live without oxygen. Cash is our oxygen, so there's no excuse not to have it.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, and there's other programs like I'm looking here, the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund, which is through the Government of Canada. There's an Alberta grant that's available for the medium enterprise class that I think, Murray, you know more about. That's, the what is the relaunch grant expiring August 31st? Do you know anything more specific about that?
It's, have a look at it. There's through the Alberta government website, there's a COVID-19 response page. I don't have the link in front of me, but go there, and there is a bit of obviously there's a qualification for that. So just go there and determine if you are eligible for it. I mean, it does have a fairly strict criteria, but it's some funding that's currently there, and I think there is a tight time frame on that to apply for it. That Regional Relief and Recovery Fund is one. I think, Kent, we were talking about that one the other day, that I think in some cases that works for companies that previously did not qualify for that, some of the other programs. And so, and it does scale higher, but it probably also, it carries interest payment and all that kind of stuff too. But I don't know if you know more about that. But
I think what it really comes down to is I think that just spending the money or knowing that there are grants and government grants available. And I mean, this is something that Kent works with on a daily basis. So I think if anyone is interested in this at all, definitely reach out directly to Kent. There you go. He just put some links. I was just gonna say, do it. Put the link in. Yeah, and if you ever do want to, have any further questions, it's something Kent can most certainly work with people. And I know that you have worked with our customers. With regards to training grants as well when it came to purchasing software, just to offset that cost a little bit, right? But I mean, as far as businesses go, right, we have businesses that have received this emergency account from the government of Canada. We have the $40,000. We have the government of Canada also, now issuing these CERD payments. Now, nobody's kind of really aware as to where this is going to go in the next few weeks. Obviously, we know that it's changing. And now we're faced with an issue that employees don't want to return to work because it's giving them $2,000 a month, and it's more than what they're normally accustomed to, because let's say they weren't making as much money. So I guess, Kent, have your customers seen that? And then what would you recommend the workaround for that to be to get people to come back to work and want to work?
So just to close the door on the Alberta government program that closes August 31st, my accountant shared the information with me on Monday. It's up to a maximum of $5,000. It took me less than 5 minutes to apply, and I was approved for just under $3,600.
Oh, that's awesome.
So for the listeners out there, that clean, that's simple. I think there was 7, 8, 9 questions, pretty simple to plug it in. And it was approved on the spot. They even asked for your bank account information so they can deposit right into my main account. So just to close the loop on that, and that's the link I posted.
Perfect. Awesome. That's great to know. Perks of technology, all these auto deposits now available.
So go back to your other question about have our clients been experiencing challenges bringing staff back to work? Yes, absolutely. It starts with people taking time off. And as you mentioned, it's like, well, hey, my daughter's one of them. She's 21. It's like, why should I go back to work? I don't want to wear a mask. I was in the service industry, yada, yada, yada. And I'm getting $2,000 a month for doing nothing. So there's 2 of my clients for sure having the same thing, is even using the wage subsidy program for him to kind of limp through these struggling times. The staff, when he's bringing back, they're going, I don't want to come back to work. And I think there's a couple things in there. One is, if you are having that experience, you might have a culture challenge inside your business. So people coming back to work isn't always tied to economic factors. Sometimes it's just, you may have hired the wrong people, or you have a work environment that isn't always conducive to people wanting to come back to work. So I would challenge the people out there to, if they are having some challenges with staff in these conversations about, hey, I don't want to come back to work, etc., take the time to look internally at your business, your management team, your leadership team, and go, hey, is that person even a fit for us? Is that a person that we want on our team 3 to 5 years from now? That's the first question you got to ask. Now, we still have to offer them the job. There's some legalities around temporary layoff notice, et cetera. But now take the time also to look at your internal business and kind of go, do we have the culture? Do we have the leadership? Do we have the business structure we want that's going to retain the right type of employee? So on the surface, it goes, yeah, it sucks. This is not. But if we look further down what's causing it, it has sometimes, probably more often than not, has more to do with not CERB. It has other factors in your business.
Yeah, and I guess that would make sense, right? I mean, we discussed last week even the capabilities of people working from home, right? So, I mean, with service, that's just not a realistic option. It's just not feasible. And we talked about, how businesses and real estate, I know Steve mentioned, had some really great stats on, I don't know, Steve, if you remember those exact numbers about percentages of people not wanting to return to work. Do you have those numbers in front of you, or what were they? It was pretty astronomical.
I don't. The stats that I had last week were more around companies not going to be bringing back people to work. They're like the city is talking about in certain departments bringing back only 30% of the people that they used to have on site in offices. They're only going to have 30% of them on site. The remaining 70 will work from home. There is a significant. They haven't got a specific number, but it does say that all employers across Western Canada especially are facing the challenges of getting employees to want to come back to work. but they don't have a percentage on that yet. The
And I
biggest,
guess the question is too, Kent, then when we kind of look at it from a different perspective is, okay, if we're saying, okay, there's a cultural issue in a business because employees don't want to come back to work. Obviously, the economic impact is one thing. $2,000 a month is a lot for a lot of people. And it puts food on their table, and now people are, getting paid to spend quality time with their family. Sure, there's people who want to get, a hell away from their family, and then there's people who are really embracing it right at the time being. People working these long days, long hours, waitresses and hairstylists, people who are on their feet all day. But if we're talking about a cultural issue, how would you motivate someone to come back to work? What were some of the tools you would use?
Well, the first thing I would help a client look through is, do we have a mission and vision statement? Do we have a medium to long-term goal for the business that is uniform and well communicated? 90+% of the people in the world need leadership and they want to follow. So if you're experiencing some willy-nilliness of your employees, you like that word, willy-nilly? Just made it up.
Willy-nillies, yeah.
Absolutely. It has to do as much with the lack of leadership. Do they have a goal that they buy into? Is there a vision they buy into? So then you can ask the question about, so the common goal, mission and vision, and then it ties into a job description. Is that job description up to date? And then lastly, and more importantly, is that job that person was doing, do they find value in it? Is it valuable to them? Do they see that they can contribute to the overall business? At the end of the day, good employees, good staff person, people want to contribute. They want to be part of the solution and they want to contribute. And if they don't feel that they can, it doesn't matter what you pay them. At some point, they're going to become disenfranchised. So it really comes down to the fit of what the person wants, what their values are, how they want to contribute. Does that align with your business and vision? Murray, as a business owner, what have you found over the years, both internally with Aqurus and also with your clients, with kind of seeing engagement, how well whether they show up to do their job internally or in your case, they participate in helping implement a solution? How would you motivate somebody who is not, helping with a software implementation?
It's a good thought, Kent. And I guess what I would say is that for our team and the kinds of solutions we do, we have and continue to seek people that are more of a professional level. So it's probably not the kind of the people, not to say if you can get CERB payments, great. The people that we have are probably more technical, they're more experienced, and $2,000 a month to them is kind of a starting point. So we typically pay our people, of course, a lot more than that. And so that kind of stuff hasn't affected us. Our ability to motivate people and to attract people we have an advantage right now because there are people out there looking for something, looking for a greater opportunity, and maybe moving away from an industry that they might currently be in where they don't share vision, or it may be kind of a job to job or a month to month kind of a thing. So they are seeking something that might be more aligned with their long-term vision and what they want to do. I think the real issue that I see or that we're seeing out there is, things like, restaurants or the service sector that, you could, the mission statement, can be as great as you want, but you're still going to always, those businesses are always attracting kind of the younger people or people that are not paying to it. And those are the kind of businesses that are really suffering and trying to attract, and retain people. I know there's some restaurants that have been around for decades. I know a particular example in Vernon, BC, a restaurant that has been around for over 100 years has really had to shut down because they can't find people to work there. And, I think hopefully that is a timing issue and it'll sort itself out, and then people will kind of get back in action and back to it. But I don't know if anyone has any thoughts for that kind of a business that does rely on kind of younger, more transient type staff.
Well, I think it almost kind of depends too, right? If you're comparing these CERB payouts and things like that with people and businesses, there is a little bit of similarity between the two. And I'm going to try to connect this because just like you have, people who are okay with just coasting through, they're okay working, as, you know, a waitress, or they're okay working as a plumber, and they're okay with just coasting you. It's the same thing with businesses nowadays too, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, I've obviously worked with over the course of my career over the last, you know, 7 or 8 years, and you sit there and you know, some employees, I mean, we've never encountered a new customer where, you know, they're not happy about leveraging, let's say, a software. And it doesn't have to even be software. If you think about business procedures and having them, that's a great place to start. There's so many businesses in today's market that don't have that. They don't have, you know, processes and procedures in place, or operationally speaking, and it's driving their employees to the ground. And I know a lot of businesses like that, and a lot of people who are now reluctant to go back to work because they don't want to deal with that kind of a mess, and they're sort of using this to their advantage. Like, there's so many jobs available. Well, maybe I won't go back there. Maybe I'll go work somewhere else. You know, that's another aspect. And there's a lot of people out there and a lot of businesses that are, you know, in that way, they're similar.
One of the things that I think we'll see as we come out of this, and I think it's good to shift gears and go, okay, what are we seeing? What are the opportunities out there? What I truly believe is that, you know, we've taken a few months here, and we'll look back at this as being a real blip. And if the government has helped us out a little bit, you know, let's be thankful for that. And if we've been able to take some time with our families, or take time to reflect, and take time to create some juices flowing. So there's going to be a lot of innovation. That's historically, you see down times like this as times of innovation. And I think that's what we'll see. We're not quite there yet. And I think it's easy for us to look forward. And I know there's a lot of people that are experiencing a lot of hardship, but that's what I think we'll look back on this as a time of great innovation in the world. So.
No, I think most certainly it is, right? I mean, think about us. I mean, we've been a remote team since the get-go, right? And now it's like this whole concept of working from home. And this isn't something, you know, that people didn't know was around. It's just nobody wanted to pioneer it. Nobody wanted to be a pioneer of, you know, being the first company to have people work from home, especially a large enterprise, right? I mean, when we look at software, I mean, most software companies, SAPs, Oracles, Microsoft, Acumatica, there's a lot of the percentage of the employees are virtual. And that's because we're all capable and, you know, understand how technology works. And, you know, there's a level of comfort in our industry because we believe in it so much, right? But I mean, if you're looking at other companies, like even, you know, with Steve's statistics saying 30% aren't going back, well, now this has become, you know, a real world. This is exactly what's going on. So as a result, will companies have less overhead? You know, they're not going to have as high operational costs. Maybe they'll have to downgrade offices. There's going to be cost savings from that aspect and things like that. But, you know, I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it, you know, as far as innovation goes. I think it's just really going to revolutionize the way society is today. So another quick thing, we got 8 minutes left, guys, so we don't want to keep everybody waiting too long. Kent, we just want to kind of cover off, you know, one of the things that we've worked with, particularly with our customers, or, you know, people who are just interested in using some sort of technology. Perhaps they weren't ready for Acumatica. They might have been a little bit too small. But, you know, when it comes to buying software or buying technology or, you know, digitizing your business, you know, there are a lot of available grants that we've worked directly with you, for instance. I was wondering if you could maybe speak around some of those grants and what you've been able to achieve with those grants with your customer base as well.
We've been working with the government of Alberta and Canada. Primarily, one of our biggest training programs is the Alberta Canada Government Training Program. The name's way too long and the acronym's worse. That is actually federal money that was put in place 7 years ago, maybe even longer. We've been using it quite extensively for the last 4 to 5 years. So it's federal money. It's about $30 million a year. It's divided amongst the provinces, and each province gets to administer it differently. Each province kind of sets their own rules and guidelines, but it's really about staffing. The primary focus is employee development, soft skills. So it's not necessarily about becoming a plumber, electrician, but it's about how do you evolve as a person in the job site to become more dependable, more reliable, a longer term fit. Businesses are changing, as we're talking about here, every 3 to 5 years. And as an employee, how do you adjust with the times, learn new skills? So these programs are really designed for that. Businesses can receive up to $300,000 of that program, depending on the size of the business. And the businesses can apply multiple times in a year. Each employee can receive up to $10,000 a year in benefit. And yeah, we have been worked creatively and with many clients. I think our office alone has placed over probably close to $700,000 of that training money in various ways with the clients to upskill the business and upskill their team and to serve their clients better. So it's been very well suited for us. As far as technology specifically, you can get into things like IRAP. There's other programs available there. IRAP sometimes is post-funding reimbursement, so you have to pay for the IT and the technological development, then you apply for the money after the fact. Otherwise, working with a client just this week, and working with one of his clients, they're actually on the front end of the IRAP program on the technology front, being able to maybe get the money in advance. So again, so many versions, reiterations, it really is finding somebody who's got some expertise in it, reaching out, asking for help, but more importantly, some perseverance. There's so many programs available. You need some time and energy to filter it all and sift through it. But even talking to other businesses that are similar in shape and size to what each business is, and talk to your competitors, talk to other business people and say, have you heard of this program? So many things are secretive nowadays, and I don't know why, but if we just ask, you never know what a person has learned and what they're willing to share. And sometimes a nugget from here plus a nugget from there, and all of a sudden, ABC
You got a Happy Meal.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Meal, absolutely. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess one thing that I did want to mention was I was watching the video of recording the TV show of our Parliament yesterday in the House of Commons and what was going on in there, because that's always, really entertaining to watch. Lots of yelling, but in between the yelling, they did bring something up that was really interesting. The government of Canada has now put a plan into developing some sort of an enhancement or a grant for digitizing business. And this isn't something new. I mean, yeah, we work in software, great, that's all fine and dandy, but I mean, the retailers, the small shops, the mom and pop shops who, now they're thinking, I'm gonna start selling online, or I'm gonna start selling online. So and it's a really great way to keep your orders flowing in, make more sales and things like that. But that is coming, as far as the government said yesterday, how they are working on some sort of a digital grant or program that the government will be putting in place. So that is great news for sure. I guess, with 3 minutes left, I mean, does anyone want to just, contribute their closing thoughts on today's podcast until our next one, so to speak? Right, let's start with you.
I mean, as we know, the stuff is constantly changing. So that's the one thing, is to keep close with your advisors, your business advisors, and there are new programs out all the time. I do expect that there's something similar in BC that we'll see in Alberta, but I don't think it's been official yet or officially announced. So, but just stay tuned on stuff like that. Keep close to the people that you trust, and and I think it's also, take the time to your advantage. So spend time with your family and appreciate the things that are maybe passed you by in prior years.
Steve, you want to go next with some closing thoughts?
No, just the sort of things as what Murray was just saying. Everybody's going through the same thing. We're all working through it to get through together. Enjoy what you can when you can. And I guess I keep thinking of what Kent has mentioned. If there's grants or loans or government supports available, make sure you apply. Take a look, see what you can do.
Yeah, and I guess my quick closing thoughts, Kent, before you, because you're a guest speaker today, so last but certainly not least. But I guess my closing thoughts on today's discussions are, you know what, every business is in a position right now to always ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, whether it's applying through a government grant or, joining our podcast and asking questions. We'll have guest speakers like Kent, who are industry experts in what they do on a daily basis. Ask questions. That would probably always be my final thought. Ask business owners, ask fellow colleagues, and ask for, help when you need it. And don't ever be afraid to ask, because we're all in this together at this point.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think I'll leave with this. I was going to pick up on one of the questions that was in the document before, but I think I want to part with be open-minded. Was rereading the book called The Checklist Manifesto the other day, and it was amazing. One of the things that sticks out from that book is the amount of closed-mindedness that doctors can have and different people can have, business owners can have when it comes time to change. We are in the midst of massive change, not just locally, economically, but around the world. And it'll become a lot easier and faster if we're open-minded and willingness to learn. And so that would be my parting comment to everybody listening and watching is be open-minded and willingness to learn. What we're going through has never been done before. Business is business. The business fundamentals don't change, but how we approach it and our mindset has to be different to succeed. So take it with an open mind and learn new things and have some fun.
Yeah, you bet. Well, awesome, Ken. Thanks for joining us today. For everyone watching, we will put Kent's link to 9 Business Group. I don't know, Kent, if you have a preferred link that I can copy or you would like to do it yourself, either or in the comments below so that you guys can check out what Kent does at 9 Business Group and maybe even work together at some point and collaborate. But thanks to everyone for joining us. It's 3 o'clock right on the button here in Calgary. So we'll see you next time. Bye.
Have a good weekend.